Hello, Governor. Today we're watching Restore Britain as a national political party launch, and he's saying some very good ideas, but I have a better one. How about we take a boat and then we take all these foreigners and we put the boat on the foreign or the we put them together and then we send them back. All right? That's what I say. All right. My crumpet and my days. Let's get into the video. Oh, and those pesky Irishmen, they need to be the first to go. Alright, jokes aside, guys, I'm gonna put the volume up, which is what I should have tested before I started. And I'm gonna watch this video because everyone's been ranting and raving about it. Apparently it's based. So let's get into it. And by the way, I can make that joke because I'm Irish.
I have chosen to speak to you today from the farm because places like this represent what proper Britain is about.
A farm? Okay, well, sorry guys, I'm gonna have to end the video here because lower class or middle class I don't speak to. So thank you for watching and have a good day. Alright, that's another joke.
Hard work, responsibility, effort, duty, stewardship.
Those words are scary.
This is the England I know, and this is the England that I love.
I don't like any of those words, that's why I'm a YouTuber.
On a farm, you don't think in election cycles or headlines or polling. You think in seasons. You think in generations, in what you leave behind to those who come after you. And that's why, here on the farm, I am now launching Restore Britain as a national...
The only season I care about is Marvel Rivals Season 6.5. But, or... Actually, no, I was gonna say maybe the new Overwatch season, but I don't give a shit about that. Overwatch is still dead to me. Too much woke.
Party. I'm now going to dedicate my life to finding, organising, funding, and providing hundreds of qualified
Let's take
candidates.
this seriously. Let's put on a deep voice and put on a suit. I have a suit. Should I put my suit on? Maybe I'll pause and put my suit on. Okay, do you know what? I'm gonna pause and put my suit on, so give me 1 sec. I'm too lazy to edit out. Oh shit. No, never mind. I can't pause. You're gonna have to bear with lazy fucking no effort content.
Present to the British people at the next general election. This process has already started, with invitations being issued to patriots in aligned political parties, Reform, the Conservatives, the SDP, Advance, and more. In local politics, we will work in partnership with localised political parties, such as Great Yarmouth First, that have the best interests of their residents at heart, combining our forces at the next general election. The men and women standing for Restore in that election will not be politicians. I promise you that. They will not be failed ministers. They will not be tainted by failures of the past. They will be from business, from the military, from science, from medicine, from education, from industry, representing real communities up and down the country.
No gaming.
Every single one will be
Does he not want gamers? Okay.
Well outside the existing political establishment, and every single one will understand the difficult decisions that need to be taken.
Really do any of that
because there are no easy fixes. I'm not going to tell you comforting lies about the condition of our country. I have only ever been honest with the British people, and I will be straight with you now. What is necessary will be incredibly painful. But for the first time in a very long time, voters will have a genuine alternative which is truthful with them about the scale of what now has to be done. The first priority is to control who comes to our country, and more importantly, who stays in our country. Restore Britain will not just stop mass immigration, we will reverse it. Every single illegal migrant will be securely detained and then deported.
He lost me when he said illegal. I was hoping that word was left out and the video would have been perfect, but unfortunately he said illegal. But yeah, okay.
Message will be unrelenting.
Joke, joke, joke. Sometimes I forget that I'm not fucking talking to friends. That's a joke. I'm gonna not undermine this video by joking around too much, because I'll be honest with you guys, this is not a first time reaction. I've already seen this, and I've heard so much about what the UK is like right now that I think it's very important for someone like this to rise into power and start changing things, especially on the issue of freedom of speech. I really don't think that ideas such as this should get shut down because they're too hateful or censored because it's against some sort of religion or some sort of whatever. Because if you're afraid to tell ideas, then you're going to be left with bad ideas that people aren't afraid to say.
If you are in this country without our permission, you will be removed. For the foreseeable future, far more people must leave Britain than arrive. If a foreign national is unable to speak English, lives in social housing, claims benefits, refuses to work, fails to integrate, commits crime, or even actively hates our way of life and wishes to do us harm, then they must leave or be made to leave.
A lot of people I've seen criticize him. They take like one of those things that he said and use it in isolation to try and say, well, oh, anyone in social housing, for example, any foreigner in social housing, he wants to get rid of them. No, he didn't say social housing or that or that or that. He said all this stuff in combination. That's what is required for him to like say that you need to go. Now, for me personally, I think only like one or two of those things will be necessary to say to deport someone, but it depends on what they are, because some of those things are less are obviously more up for debate. For example, one that's up for debate is, let's say you're someone who hates the country. Well, you might hate the country as it is now, and you might vote for someone like this because you're trying to change it. So you might technically hate the country as it is now, but you still like, that's just one way of saying it, but you still overall like love Britain in totality. You just don't like how it is now, which a lot of people don't like how it is now, and that's why they're gonna vote for someone like this. So there's a gray area. Not everything is black and white.
Restore Britain will make our communities safe again for women and children.
And I think most people know that. I think the reason a lot of articles try to paint it as black and white is because they want to shut down this idea as, oh, it's hateful, or oh, it's whatever, because they're part of the side that is in power and they don't want to lose that power.
That, I promise you. If that means millions go, then millions go. We're constantly told that the economy needs vast swathes of low-skilled migrants. We know that's simply not true. What we need is to get millions of health...
Now, sorry for pausing so much, but I have something to say on that one. I think this may make me... I promise I'm not a part of like any Illuminati or any of that, but I think the people who kind of have a problem-solving mindset see, which generally are people who would, I'm guessing, now, I'm guessing, would go into organizations like FBI, CIA, Secret Service, Illuminati, that kind of stuff, right? Uh, to try like logically figure out what's best for the world. Um, I think the previous idea was that a lot of it would be very productive for the economy if a lot of immigrants came in and they were underpaid and doing a lot of jobs that regular Brits don't want to do. Um, and that way the economy will be basically have a battery. Um, However, uh, that seems to have backfired completely, and I think that those kind of shadow figures would be more open to a change such as this, where there's mass deportations and things of that nature in order to get low skilled Brits working, um, so that they're not unemployed, sitting at home, and unwilling to die for the country, because that's what seems to be the case right now. They don't have a society that is worth fighting for, and when that happens, you're insecure, basically, because if World War III breaks out and no one's willing to fight for your side, you're fucked. So yeah,
The Brits back into work. A radical overhaul of how welfare is delivered. Protecting those in genuine need, but not funding healthy shirkers to live off the back of hard-working men and women. If you can work, you must work. It really is that simple. Restore Britain.
that's what I'm saying. That line in combination with the last line is kind of where I'm getting that whole thing from. Not a lot of the low skilled laborers are working right now because they're being replaced, but there's too many low skilled workers right now, and a lot of those low skilled workers are going to be replaced with AI anyway. So, um, for a lot of people, there's just no job opportunities, and that's just a huge problem for the economy because there's too many people without a job, and obviously, the economy cannot survive by being a welfare state.
Will be abundantly clear. If you consistently refuse work, then you will lose your
Like,
benefits.
I cannot find work, and it's realistically, I'm not actually low skilled, but uh, the way employment works, you've I can adapt to things, but I don't have anything on my resume that will tell my employers, "Hey, I can adapt. I can learn quick." Um, and unfortunately, that fucks me over because a lot of other people do have jobs that do say that. Working for security is it was a huge mistake that I made, and I really don't think anybody should follow that career path on their first job, because you're basically telling your employer that I'm a fucking idiot and I want to just kind of stand in one spot or sit in one spot and not do anything. Well, the reason that wasn't the reason I joined security. The reason I joined security was because it was a lot of hours and a lot of money, and I basically wanted to have a lot of money in order to, have a better life, because I know the economy is getting more expensive. But due to that, I was thinking forward, but I wasn't thinking forward in a way that actually has helped me. Um, they, the employers basically think I picked that job because I'm a fucking idiot, and then when I'm doing volunteer work, they expect me to be a mouth breather. Then I'm not, and they're confused how I don't get a job, and then they look at my CV and they're like, "Oh, that's why." All right.
We will punish.
And by the way, I'm not making this up. I have family who basically work with, like, work in the employment industry and getting people jobs and stuff, and that's this is their words, not me. So if this is wrong, sorry. I'm not gonna give names to throw them under the bus, but it's not. All of that ranting is not just my imagination.
Indolence, and more important.
And by the way, I think there is truth to it because it makes sense, at least to me.
We will reward success. We will provide vast economic incentives for men and women to start businesses, generate opportunities, build wealth, and create self-sufficient families. Standing here today on the farm, I know exactly what it means to deal with energy bills, labour shortages, regulation, unproductive paperwork, planning restrictions, tax, and endless uncertainty. The state has definitively become the enemy of the people. Restore Britain will burn away suffocating taxes on work and enterprise. We will slash unnecessary regulation. We will dismantle bloated quangos and the overbearing HR culture. We must crush parasitic Britain. We will restore...
I don't know how people have a problem with this video, especially when things like that are said, because what there was... anything that you don't agree with in this video, I think what he's just said right there, surely that has outweighed any, like, criticisms.
Long-term, stable, logical policy so that businesses can plan and invest and grow again. But Restore Britain is about much more than numbers on a spreadsheet. It's about who we are as a nation and who we are as a people. Britain is not just an economy. Britain is not just an idea. Britain is not just a passport. Britain is a nation. Britain is a people, our people. And Restore Britain will never allow that to be erased. We will celebrate our Christian heritage and the identity that built and shaped this country. Responsibility.
I see people saying that that part of the video is racist somehow, but I don't think you would say the same thing if a Muslim nation said we want to stay Muslim, or any other religion wanted to stick to their values. So I don't... if you have a problem with that, then you should have a problem with much more. And I'm not seeing a lot of, like, backlash against, like, a lot of Islamic countries. So to me, it seems like the reason that countries like Britain get backlash, whereas countries like Iran, I know maybe that's a bad example because there is backlash, especially from America, but, like, their own... actually, no, that's not true either with Iran. Qatar. I don't see a lot of people in Qatar turning against their own nation because of their religion. Whereas I do see a lot of people in Britain turning against their own nation because of, like, religious values and stuff like that. And I just think it's strange because it's not, like, enforced on anybody in places like Britain. And I don't think that's what he's calling for either. So, actually, scrap that. 100% I know that's not what he's calling for. he's calling for these following values, which I'm gonna let him say.
Heritage and the identity that built and shaped this country. Responsibility, restraint, forgiveness, duty, and fairness. In short, a high-trust society. That will mean defending our culture. That will mean...
Is there any issue with fairness and responsibility and all that? I don't think so.
resisting the relentless creep of radical Islam. That will mean banning the burqa, outlawing Sharia law, blocking cousin marriages, and reimposing our Christian-based rule of law. A Restore Britain government would legislate to ensure that
if Christians went into a different country and started saying, we're here now and you have to follow our laws, everyone will be up in arms saying, hey, that's not right, you can't do that. Whereas, for some reason, people are not doing that when it comes to Islamic creep. I don't know why, but I think it has to stop.
no halal or kosher
Because
slaughter.
It's not a culture that the people of Britain want to live in. And I think I'm going to be, what's it called, validated in the future when a party such as this wins an election.
On British soil. This is Britain, and we will do things our way. This political party now exists for one reason: to restore Britain, to make it a better, safer, and more prosperous place for British men and women to raise their families. It will be difficult, and it will be painful, but I assure you, it is possible. I hope you will consider joining me on this journey and becoming a member of our party. It is our country, it is now our collective responsibility to act. Together, we will restore Britain. Thank you.
All right, well, I have to say, I agree with the video completely. I don't think there's anything he said that I think is so much of a problem that like invalidates the rest of the video. To me, the positives of this way outweigh the negatives. So I hope people are able to understand my point of view, and I know some people are gonna have a problem with this whole idea because unfortunately a lot of people are afraid to face issues. They rather pretend that everything is perfect and there's no issues to be addressed, and they just kind of want to bury their head in the sand and not deal with problems. They don't want to be honest about things like Islam becoming more prevalent in Britain and seeking to overtake the country. So when people are not willing to address those problems, they see something like this and they see it as like an attack and something that they need to like defend against and lash out against. And I think it's childish. I think it's not something that is productive. I think if you're gonna solve a problem, you have to be honest about what the problem is, and sometimes it's not gonna sound nice, but you have to do what has to be done. And look, there's a possibility that this guy gets into power and he goes too far one way. Now, if that happens, guess what? He's pro freedom of speech. That's what Britain needs, because right now it's so difficult to overturn a bad administration, because you can't, some things you can't even say out loud because you might get arrested. Well, if this guy gets in power and there's ideas that are better than his, you can attack his idea with your own better ideas, because there's no censorship. Whereas now, currently in Britain, and I'm glad that I'm not a British resident, certain ideas just get censored and outlawed, and you can go in jail for even saying something like, hey, maybe there's too much undocumented immigration to Britain. Like, it's possible that we see this guy on a wanted poster with the way things are currently in Britain. And it's something that I'm so strongly against that I'm too strongly against it to let any like kind of petty beef with Britain about like things in the past. Not that those things were petty or anything, but what I'm trying to say is that there's things Britain has done to Ireland that a lot of people would consider unforgivable. Well, for me, I'd rather live beside Britain than live beside a North Korea. And I feel like, oh my god, did I spell Britain wrong? Wait, no I didn't. Okay, Jesus. Why does it look wrong? Maybe I'm crazy. Anyway, it's because it's not capitalized, that's why. Sorry. There's things in the past that happened that a lot of people would consider unforgivable. And it's not that those things are forgivable, it's just that the people responsible for that, they're already dead. Okay? So there's no point in celebrating Britain going to shit or watching them and like being happy about it, because if it does go to shit and it does turn into North Korea completely, well, what's gonna happen is basically it's gonna set a precedent that that style of fucking oppression works. So that style of oppression is gonna spread, and it's what everyone should be avoiding. Like, you should want your family, your people to be free. You shouldn't want everyone to be depressed because they can't even say what they really think. And I don't know how anyone can disagree with that. If there anyone who does disagree with that, leave your comment below, because I think it'd be pretty funny to read that comment. Alright guys, thanks for watching. I hope I haven't dragged this out too long. I hope my point of view can be seen and understood. And good luck to Britain. I hope that it can be restored. Right. Have a good one, guys. Take care.